So when you're identifying risks, the first thing you want to understand is that risks jeopardize accomplishing any objective. After you realize that, you want to identify the potential risk. Then you want to make categories for said risk. It will be mindful to use similar cases to help identify risk. And also, when information readies itself, use that information to identify new risk. Now, when you're assessing risk, you want to first determine the likelihood that it may occur. After that, give me a degree of impact, medium, low, high. Second to that, you would like to prioritize the likelihood that it might occur, and then the degree of impact to the critical path. Then you can use a matrix to list out these risks. Now, when you respond to risk, different ways to do it. But pretty much you want to have a set of actions to reduce or prevent the risk from occurring. And then you want to have a trigger point for implementing actions. You want to assign responsibility to team members. And you want to avoid, mitigate, or accept what's going on at the current time. And you also want to include a contingency fund for when things do go wrong. Now, there's 7 types of risk. You have technological, human, usability, project team, project, organizational, strategic, and political. So, lack of technology, lack of workers, usability. I'm going to assume maybe some hardware you have isn't functioning, but that's a good one. Project team. Lack of teamwork occurring. Project. Nobody shows up to work. Organizational, you have pushback from the board of directors. And strategic and political. Maybe you're working for Facebook developing a project about getting users from data. But at the same time, the Congress is pushing a bill that is going to change how Facebook can get data from users. So that might change the entire project that you're working on at the time. But that's how political risk can come into any equation that you're working on. And after you have a project and you've completed it and you've beat all the risk and you have a satisfied customer, it's time to complete your closing actions. And closing actions include collecting and making your final payments. You want to recognize and evaluate your staff. Who did good, who did bad, who deserved promotions, who can I go to next time. Then you want to conduct a post-project eval. You want to meet with your team, meet with your team leaders, meet with everybody involved with the project and give them evaluations. Let them know how they did, let them know how they could have did better, what should be done for next time, and how to improve. You want to document all the lessons you learned. You can pass it on to future managers. You can keep it for yourself. You can give yourself constructive criticism. It's a lot of value in documenting the lessons you learned. And next, you want to organize and archive documents. The many documents you use in the project will probably need to be looked at some point in the future. So it makes sense to have a nice ordered place to go back to look at those documents. And after that, you want feedback. Get feedback from the customer. Make sure that they appreciated the project and all the work you put into it. And that's pretty much the gist of what we went over throughout the class and what I've learned in this class. Now, if you wait 1 second, we can go to the PowerPoint for CIS Come Up, which was the group I participated in for the project. All right, so 1 second. All right, for the CIS come up, this was the group I participated in for the project management class, and we were tasked with creating a company that could inform other students about the CIS major and possibly get students to convert their majors to CIS, which will be the best decision for anybody that's not a CIS major or CS major. And this is the phases we went throughout the project. This is what we learned, this is what we did, and this is what we completed. So first we have the initiating phase, which is understanding the project requirements and brainstorming ideas. So requirements and brainstorming. Like I previously mentioned, we wanted to create a company that promoted the CIS major. And if for those of you who don't know, who might come across this video, CIS means Computer Information Systems. Now after that, we wanted to create a website pertaining to the company. We needed a work breakdown structure, network sequence diagram, and a Gantt chart. Also a budget and risk and constraint assessment. We also needed to host a fundraiser and an event for CIS. CIS. What's what I'm looking for? And CIS. People interested in CIS. Excuse me. And next, we needed a project charter and proposal. Interest. CIS interest. Excuse me. CIS interest was what I was looking for. But the planning phase was next. And in the planning phase, we included a charter, management, WBS, NSDs, Gantt charts, budgets, flyers, social media, surveys, website, and the risk and constraints. So charter and management. Inside the project charter, which is where we included a statement of our scope, the work breakdown structure, the network sequence diagram, and the project preliminaries. We also included the risk and constraints, the budgets, the reserve spaces, and the goals. And the management aspect of it included assigning the work breakdown structures to team members along with the network sequence diagrams in the Gantt chart. And the work breakdown structure pretty much organized the team work into manageable sections, and the network sequence diagrams put all the activities in a order for us to understand this happens first, this happens second, this happens third. And next, the Gantt chart. Gantt chart listed work, resources, time allocated, and like I said, resources needed. So our work breakdown structure. So this side of work was broken down. At the very top, we have our project manager, Alana Pryor. And then we have 6 categories following Alana's lead, which was marketing, fundraising, technology, risk, resources, and accounting. And under each tab was more broken down objects and activities, as you can see. Like for example, marketing went to design, went to social media, which concluded in a link on the website. Then we have the network sequence diagram. Now the network, if you remember earlier in the project or earlier in the video, I spoke of a network sequence diagram: latest start, latest finish, earliest start, earliest finish. And this is how you display it. So for a quick breakdown, in the middle you have the activity description. In this corner you have the activity number, then you have the duration. Below that you have the earliest start and the earliest finish, then you have the latest start and the latest finish. In the middle is your slack time. And how you will read this, it will go, so after you created a budget, you have these 4 tasks to complete. Now these 4 tasks can be complete concurrently, then you have to move on to this this task. After this task was complete, came these tasks, and so on and so forth. These tasks have to be all completed before you moved on, and that's how network sequence diagrams work. Now with our Gantt chart, it listed the activities, the duration for each activity, the days it can be completed on, and in the completed Gantt chart, you will see resources, or you will see the people assigned to do these things, or the resources needed for each of these tasks, or maybe the predecessors, meaning the things that needed to be completed before the following task can be completed. And here was our budget. So we had a few different budgets. We had budgets for flyers, handouts, raffle tickets, and a gas card. So we needed a total of $35, and we was able to raise $100. It was able to raise $100 through fundraising. We got a $50 donation from Dr. Sandwich, who is also a CIS professor, and we had $5 in donations from participants throughout COBA, and we raised $45 within the group ourselves. So we raised $100. We only needed $35, so we had a leftover budget of $65, which is excessive. Here were the flyers we used for the event and for the gas card. We posted them around COBA, and this is the flyers we used. So social media, we created an Instagram page to help spread the word of the things we're trying to accomplish and get out the information about the raffle card and the event. And that's the image of our page. I believe we were able to get 10 followers. And yeah, those are the statistics. Now, we also used a survey to gather data on our events and get a numerical understanding of how many students did we influence to change their major. And this was a survey right here. The link for the survey is not clickable. Excuse me. And the website that was created. The website was created using HTML code, W3C schools, and the Notepad. And the interesting thing about making the website was made with knowledge we got from a web development class, which is in the CIS major. So it just was a reflection of what we learned in COBA. Now, this was our risk and constraint chart. So the risk we encountered, or we could have encountered by embarking on this project, are listed. And none of them had a high likelihood of occurring, but a few of them had a high degree of impact. And just for an example, let's say the risk was bad weather for the day we wanted to hold our event. So the likelihood of it occurring was low because we picked a day with good scheduled weather. The degree of impact would have been medium. So the action trigger was to check the weather 10 days before the event, and we gave the responsibility to Jamila Reed, and the response plans was to move it indoors. Performance. So the event, we had two events. We had the gas card rifle, and we had the event called YCIS. And the purpose of the event was to inform students about the CIS major and the benefits of the CIS program, and we wanted to bring awareness to underclassmen and undeclared majors. And the formats and the goals, we pretty much formatted it. We had the events on campus. We informed as many underclassmen as possible, and we held the event. And I will speak of goals later. So in the performance phase, we were able to see how the network diagram is different from the Gantt chart and the work breakdown structures. So the network diagram allowed us to see everything in increments. What needs to happen next? What needs to happen next? What needs to happen next? The Gantt chart listed things and allocated resources in the work breakdown structure. Allowed us to see who was going to be doing what, who was responsible for what, who was the manager of what. It showed responsibility. And adjustments to schedule. We had one adjustment to schedule, and that was when we could not get the space request approved. So we had to squeeze into a classroom during class time, and that's how we adjusted the schedule. But it didn't impact the schedule whatsoever. Well, it didn't have any severe impact on the schedule. We were still able to complete the project in a timely fashion, and it didn't cost anything extra for us. So in closing, our goals were to have 20 students consider changing their majors. And when we failed in having 20 students consider because we didn't have enough students show up. So we couldn't inform them. But we did have great feedback on the event that we did have from the students that worked there. And we were able to raise $100. And lastly, we did advertise the CIS major. So hopefully maybe someone will come across one of our social media pages or just a flyer seeing the benefits of the CIS program. And the members that got recognized, John and Jamila were credited for making a great website. Latavia was given credit for making a great survey. And Shamar did an outstanding job with fundraiser. And Alana did an outstanding job managing the project. So she definitely deserves credit, and she did a great job. And that's what I learned from the project. Anything else with the project that I want to say? Absolutely. Project management. This was the first time I actually got to see a team work through the project. And what you learn is that some team members give a lot, some team members give little, and people allow you to do what's expected of them. So, yeah, it's just that dynamic. From the work itself, didn't learn too much, but I did get to see people interact with each other, and that's always a lesson in itself. I'm sure Alana learned a lot about project management and getting people to dedicate themselves to the project, and understanding that sometimes you got to run after people to get them to complete their task. But yeah, that's that. And for the class, or how will this class help me in my future? So in my future, I see lots of projects because I would like to embark on an entrepreneurial career. And it's just that simple thing of projects. You have the initiating phase where you want to plan, and understand what you need to deliver, and understand what's expected, and understand what you're trying to get accomplished. And after you're planning, you have your initiating. Excuse me. You have your initiating phase first, which is where you understand what you want to do, what you want to accomplish, what you want to get done. And after the initiating phase, you have your planning phase, where you're going to get everything in the works. What resources are going where, who's doing what, how much money is needed, how much who's our sponsor, who's our stakeholders, and what needs to get done. And after your planning phase, you have your performing phase, which is where you do the work, do what you planned. And after that, you're going to close the project, document things, get surveys, get feedback, give out feedback. And that's pretty much the gist of every project. Learn, do, execute. Or in the phases, initiate, plan, perform, close. And just individually with me, I'm actually working on the application, and project management follows what I'm doing to a T. The first thing I did was initiate the project. I discovered a problem. And I figured that the best way to do it was to have an application. So I discovered the problem, discovered what was needed to complete it. After that, I started planning it. What resources will I need? How will it get done? How much will it cost me? And how will I implement it? Next, went to performance, which is the stage I'm in right now. I am performing, I'm making a rough draft, and I'm coding. And after that, we're going to close it. We're going to put it in the Apple Store. We're going to get feedback from people using the app, and we're going to take corrective actions. So, yes, that's my time in project management. I've learned I've learned more than I can ever imagine learning. It's very, very, very useful information in project management because so many things are projects. So many things can be classified as projects, and you just have to understand working increments and have a good plan, and things will get completed. So I appreciate the opportunity again. Thank you, and have a good one.